I, 32 male, overheard my girlfriend, 32 female, tell her sister, 27 female, that she is dating down being with me because she makes more money than me. My girlfriend and I've been together for 8 months. So a bit about ourselves. I graduated from a top 10 public university, and I work at a great architecture firm in NYC, as a senior project architect. Because I know people will ask, I make in total $135K a year. My girlfriend works as a software developer. She went to a decent state school and works at a tech company as an engineer. When we go out for dates, in the beginning, I used to pay all the time. Now we do closer to 60-40. When it comes to salary, she specifically asked, I don't like to have that conversation. But hey, I thought, if we are going to one day be married, then it's important to know. When I told her, she got a bit shy about sharing hers. But I didn't mind, and my girlfriend prides herself on being a feminist, so I didn't think anything of it. I thought she was worried she was going to embarrass me, but I didn't care. This is how things went down. I was in the living room working out, and she was on the phone with her sister. I was doing push-ups and wasn't paying attention, but it went like this. Her sister was going to leave DC to come to NYC, and she was like, oh, don't want to come to NYC, that dating here is a hellhole. This is when I started listening, and she said that she has to date down. She said my name is a sweet guy, but he doesn't do that well. He only makes $130K. I am surprised he wasn't living with roommates. She went into other parts and then mentioned this isn't what she envisioned with life. After she got off the phone, I confronted her. First of all, she gets angry for me saying that she deserves privacy, and I told her that was BS, that she talks about being open, so let's talk. This thing is massively summarized. We talked for over 6 hours and resulted in me leaving for my cousin's apartment. Long story short, she told me that she loved me, is happy with me. She then says it's just that if I am going to judge you by societal norms that we all know is out there, that I am not doing that well. I got angry about all of this. I told her that I am doing great in my field, that her field pays more, but that doesn't make her better than me, and that my title is much higher than hers, that I actually manage a team of 10. She starts going off on how computer science brings in a lot more talented people, but it doesn't matter, that she doesn't want to have this conversation because it's hurting my male ego. I got angry and told her that my ego is just fine, that being talked down to is screwed up. This leads to more back and forth, and then if she wants to compare me by societal standards for men, then I will compare her to societal standards for women. That she isn't a catch by any means. That does anyone really want a 30-plus-year-old girlfriend? She starts crying and insulting me more, says that she gave me a shot and that I treat her like this. I got even angrier, and after this I just left. I don't know what to say. I am okay with dating a woman that makes more than me. Really, I don't mind, but I hate that she thinks she is smarter / dating down being with me. That's messed up. Also too, in our conversation she compared me to some of her exes that had more money than me. And I can understand that if a girl is used to a guy paying for everything, it can be a bit change of pace. I get that. Look, I wish I made enough to where I could pay the bill without blinking. I wish I could, and I hope to one day, but the catch is these guys didn't even date her. They hooked up a couple of times and they might have taken her to a couple of fancy restaurants. They weren't official. I am sorry if this came off ranty. This fight happened yesterday. I am still in my cousin's apartment. My girlfriend has called me a couple of times and I haven't picked up. I don't know what to do. I feel like even if she does apologize, intrinsically she might just believe that I am inferior and she has to settle. She might just say some things to stroke my ego and that's it. At this point, is this relationship basically dead? Is it even worth salvaging at this point? I know I said some mean things too, and if she was to apologize I would as well. I don't want to put anyone down, but at the same time the thought that she was being snobbish and looking down on me for my financial situation just really irks me. What do you guys suggest I do? TLDR, my girlfriend and I had a fight about money. She was talking to her younger sister about dating and basically said that she is dating down being with me because she makes more money than me. We got into a really big fight and now I am at my cousin's apartment. Am I the unreasonable one for not letting kids at the park play with my dog? I have a small 7-year-old dog that I adopted from a shelter back in January. She's a very timid dog who clearly hasn't been around people much. I've been taking her out early in the morning so that there's not many people out until she can get used to them without being afraid. She's improved a lot and can be close to a couple people at a time, but cannot handle being near any crowds. She literally shrinks behind me with her tail between her legs. Her whole body starts shaking and she freezes on the spot. Since the pandemic started, I've been taking her out to walk around the perimeter of the park. Since it was closed, that's a block from my house, since mostly everyone was staying indoors and she didn't have to deal with many people roaming around. The park recently opened again, But I wasn't expecting people to be out until I was around there this morning. There was a whole mass of kids in the playground and their parents just mingling. I was surprised honestly, especially since none of them were wearing any masks. I tried to keep my distance from the playground so my dog wouldn't get scared. But then one stupid kid had to spot her and point her out to all the other kids. Then they all came running up to us. There was like 8 or 9 kids, all asking if they can pet and play with her. I put my arms out and told them to get back because my dog gets easily scared, and I said I'm sorry, but she doesn't like playing. My dog was already tensing up and hiding behind me, so I told them I had to go. But then they started begging me to let her play. One of the kids even tried to go behind me and touch her. But I stepped in front of him and said please don't touch her because she doesn't like strangers touching her. A few parents came up and one of the kids complained they wanted to play with my dog, but I'm not letting them. When the parents asked if it was okay if they played with her for a minute, I apologized again, but said my dog doesn't like being around people and this is starting to give her anxiety. I was just about to pick her up so we can leave, but one of the moms for whatever reason got mad. I said no and asked what the big deal was. That it would just be a minute and kids like dogs. I explained why again and she asked why am I even taking her to a park if I'm not gonna let her interact, and I should have socialized her sooner so this wouldn't be an issue. This lady walked off with her kids and the rest of the group walked away all bummed. I'm pretty sure I heard her whisper jackass when she walked away, but I didn't say nothing. I felt bad saying no, but my dog's comfort was my priority ATM. On my way home I kept thinking about if maybe I was too mean to the kids and should have suggested something else like they all keep their distance and they each pet her one at a time. I guess I'm wondering if I was too mean in that situation for not making a compromise with the kids. Am I the unreasonable one? I think my girlfriend and her sister are poisoning me. This sounds crazy, I know. I feel freaking crazy, honestly. I literally feel like I'm living in a freaking horror film or something. I'm an 18-year-old guy. I moved out of my parents' house as soon as I turned 18 because, well, let's just say they and I get on much better if we're not under the same roof. My girlfriend, 19, and her sister, 24, already had a flat together, so I moved in with them and that's how it's been for the past 9 months. Generally, things are fine. I love my girlfriend and I like her sister. Our living arrangement / setup is really no different from any other couple living with a flatmate situation. Perfectly normal. Now, both of the girls love to cook. Their dad is a Michelin star chef, so food and cooking was always a big part of their lives. I'm fine with this. I'm not a bad cook by any means, but these two are amazing at it. Plus we have a fair trade. They do all the cooking, I do all the cleaning. I find cleaning very cathartic, so it's usually a sweet deal. I get really bomb meals cooked for me in exchange for doing something I enjoy. Things have changed recently. It started about 3 weeks ago when the whole quarantine thing got really ramped up. I started getting sick. At first I worried I'd caught the virus. But it just wasn't the virus. No respiratory symptoms, no cold, nothing like that. Just stomach cramps and horrible vomiting. I figured at first I'd caught some other bug. But then it came back, again and again. At least 1 to 2 times a week for a couple of days at a time I was getting these episodes of stomach pain like you wouldn't believe and spewing my guts up. I couldn't figure out what was up, until I spoke to a friend about it and she asked if it was maybe something I'd been eating. Now, I don't have any real food allergies. I'm a bit dodgy with dairy, but not on a feel like I'm on death's door and vomit all the fluids out of my body level. More just bit of discomfort and spend ages on the loo type of stuff. Still, I mentioned it to my girlfriend and asked if she'd changed anything about how she was cooking recently. She got really weird, defensive. Asked what the F I was accusing her of. I said I wasn't accusing her of anything, I just think I might have developed an allergy out something and wanna know what it could be too. She told me I'm being paranoid and I just have a bug. I dropped it because she seemed really annoyed. Since then, I've noticed some weird stuff which really is making me paranoid. Like, they shout at me to get out if I go in the kitchen while they're cooking. I've offered to both of them on several occasions, hey, I'll cook tonight. But they vehemently turn me down and seem almost offended I'd offer. They both keep giving me these glances at mealtimes like they're waiting to see how I react. If I say I don't feel good or don't want to eat, both of them take it as a personal attack on their cooking, and if it's my GF she'll cry until I cave and eat it. There have been times when one or both of them has seemed to know I was about to get sick after eating. They text each other when they're in the same room if I'm there. I think they think I haven't caught on to that. But it's obvious honestly. Neither of them is particularly sympathetic when I do get sick. Maybe I'm being paranoid, maybe quarantine is getting to me. But I'm really convinced they're doing something to my food to make me ill. It's the only explanation I can come up with. Thing is, I don't know what to do. If I confront them and I'm wrong, I'm an asshole for even thinking it. If I confront them and I'm right, things could escalate badly. I'd really appreciate any advice or words of wisdom here. Thank you in advance. Am I the unreasonable one for waking my husband up repeatedly? I, 26 years old female, work in the military. My husband, 32 years old male, stays at home. Yesterday, I came home to him playing video games, which is normal. I usually join him after he cooks dinner, but for whatever reason, he never invited me to join him on the game yesterday. Which would be fine except our puppy got fixed yesterday and needs to be monitored. So I had to watch her. When he finally got off, it was 30 minutes before my bedtime. He suggested I stay up later to watch a movie with him, but fell asleep within 15 minutes. This irked me a bit because I value time above all else. Quality time is my love language and I absolutely loathe wasting time. But it was just one day so I let it go and slept. He got up a few times to keep the pupper from licking her sutures. This morning, he felt bad for falling asleep on me so he made sure he was up to make me breakfast and lunch. He promised that he would make up for the previous day by spending the night doing whatever I wanted. He went back to sleep when I left. I had a pretty lousy day and was looking forward to telling him about it and playing games with him. Well, he was drunk, at 4 p.m. off whiskey he had sworn he wouldn't touch because it's my expensive whiskey. He said he was about to start a game with his best friend, the game he played yesterday. A game that takes 45 minutes. I told him that was fine and asked if he could make me toast while I changed. He made the toast, and then ate half of it as a joke. When his game was finished, he said he was famished and proposed we watch an episode of a sitcom while he made himself something. I said sure, and he started snacking on some food I use for lunch every day. In the middle of eating it, he fell asleep again. I woke him up to ask him how to administer the medicine to the puppy, and he said he didn't know and to take care of it before heading upstairs. He usually pukes upstairs because he doesn't want me to hear it, so I figured he was sick and doled out the puppy's medicine. An hour passed. The entire time, our puppy, who is literally never away from my husband, was crying. I didn't want to take her up because it's painful for her due to the surgery, but she wouldn't stop crying. I took her up and lo and behold, he was asleep in bed. I woke him up 5 more times. He heard the puppy whining and said she needed to pee. I disagreed because she had been whining for an hour, and he snapped at me for whining on and on about his sleeping. Finally he picked the puppy up and put her downstairs. Then he went back upstairs. So now I have to sleep on the couch and watch the puppy all night and then work out in the morning and go to work. I can't even complain because he gets mad at me for making him feel bad. Am I the unreasonable one for waking my husband up so many times and demanding he stay awake? Am I the unreasonable one for changing the Wi-Fi password because my roommates won't clean? I, 25 years old female, live with 2 other roommates, 22 female and 24 male, who I will call Rachel and Eric, in a 2-bedroom 2-bathroom house. I was originally rooming with a different couple, but they got married and moved out. I can't afford rent on my own, so they introduced us at their wedding. They seemed alright, so I offered to add them on the lease, and they agreed. They have been living with me for 5 months. It was great at first. I did a lot of the cleaning until recently, but I didn't mind. The only thing I refused to clean was their 2 cats' boxes. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease 4 weeks ago. I have been essentially stuck in my bedroom and bathroom in the basement since then, but my boyfriend of 1 year has been coming over almost every day to make sure I eat, take me to any appointments, and clean my room since I can't. He has also been taking care of my dog for me at his apartment. A few days ago he brought up to me how filthy the rest of the house has gotten. I haven't been outside of going to appointments, so I haven't seen the rest of the house. I let it go, thinking it was probably fine. Yesterday, I was finally well enough to make myself a meal, and I noticed how bad it had gotten. Dishes were piled a foot high in the sink, and the kitchen counters were filthy. Trash, beer/soda cans, and dishes all over the living room floor and tables, a strong stench of cat pee, food and liquids dried into the carpet, and the garbage in the kitchen hadn't been taken out in weeks. The grossest was probably a used condom that was thrown on the floor near the couch. I had a panic attack after seeing it, the first OCD episode I've had in 3 years. When Rachel and Eric came home, I confronted them about it. I made it clear shared spaces should be respected, but that I don't care how they keep their own room and bathroom. They insisted it wasn't a big deal because I technically wasn't sharing the space anymore with my illness, and that me not cleaning like I usually do was the reason it was a little worse. They refused to clean. I called my boyfriend and he suggested I change my passwords to my Prime, Hulu, Netflix, and Wi-Fi, since I pay for all of these services and they are my accounts, and refused to give it until they clean. This seemed fair, so I did. Today, I got a text from Eric asking why the passwords for the accounts changed. I told him I will give the password to them when they clean. He called me an a-hole and Rachel accidentally broke an imported 6-piece wine glass set that was a birthday gift from my grandma who died earlier this year. My boyfriend insists I stick to my guns and is furious with their behavior. He is in the process of looking for a bigger place so we can move in together, but I'm not sure how soon this can happen. I'm not sure what to do, and feel like maybe I should have approached this differently. Am I the unreasonable one for instigating this fight, and should I keep refusing them the passwords until they clean? Will I be the unreasonable one for letting an accidental anti-Semitism accusation against a lecturer play out? I'm not super religious, but I grew up with it. My dad is Jewish, mom is Catholic, and I was raised in both faiths, but as an adult I've sort of stepped away from religion. However, some stuff remains, including the Jewish practice of writing his name as God, G.D. As a child, I was taught this was a sign of respect, and now as an adult it's more of a habit than anything. But I feel genuine discomfort when I write his full name. I'm in uni on a literature course, and for my most recent round of assessments we were given a bunch of religious stories and asked to write about one. One was about someone's struggle between the Jewish and Catholic faith, so I was like, yup, that's mine, and wrote my essay on it. I had to write God about 10 times in my essay, and did debate using the full version, but it just didn't sit right with me. I felt pretty good about the essay as my average grade is a high B, with the occasional A. But a few weeks later I got it back and it was a D. Specifically, it was the highest possible D grade, 49%. In the notes, it said that it was a really good essay, but unfortunately they couldn't grade me higher than a D due to a repeated spelling error. I then saw the only word they'd marked as misspelled was God. I figured they just didn't know about the whole situation with his name, so I submitted it for remarking, and in the box where I'm meant to explain why I think it's marked incorrectly I explained my use of God. My essay got sent to a different marker, marked at an A, 86%, with the new marker commenting basically everything the first marker said about it being a great essay, without the thing about spelling. About a week ago I got an email from someone at the university who I don't know asking if they could have a copy of my essay. I assumed he was a moderator wanting to check my new grade, so I sent it. Today I got an email asking for my account of the grading as the lecturer is being investigated for anti-Semitism. I'm staying with mom and dad and I don't know what to do, so I told them. Dad says I did the right thing and they wouldn't do this over one student complaining about a bad grade. There were probably other incidents. Mom, however, thinks I went too far, should have just taken the grade as it doesn't count towards my degree as I'm a first year and only grades from years 2 and 3 go to overall grades, and that I should have realized asking for a remark based on Jewish practices would start crap for this lecturer and that I may have compromised her career over a grade that won't matter in September. She says I should respond to the email saying that there was no anti-Semitism at play here, while my dad thinks I should just let things play out and go along with the investigation. If they're not anti-Semitic, they get to prove it. If they are, they get dealt with by the uni in an appropriate way. Will I be the unreasonable one for going along with the investigation? Update. Apparently a guy on my course who's also Jewish and also wrote the name like that had the exact same thing happen to him. Mom still feels her, the lecturer, being under investigation is too far and says I should respond to the email saying there was no anti-Semitism and I don't want to be involved in the investigation, then leave it there, while dad thinks I should give my account and be involved in the investigation. Am I the unreasonable one for allowing my stepdad to pay my college tuition and hiding it from my mom? My mom, 38 years old, had me, 23 years old female, from a very young age, and my bio dad, 38 years old, mostly didn't want anything to do with me, so I never had a father figure in my life. I was mostly raised by my mom and grandparents. Things changed when my mom married my stepdad, 37 years old, in 2006 and he became my father. Unfortunately they got divorced in 2012 and the divorce was bad. My stepdad is very wealthy and my mom signed a prenup before they got married, so she got nothing in the divorce, not even alimony, and she lost custody of my siblings 11M and 9M. She was hoping to keep them so she could live off a large sum of child support. After the divorce my mom took some petty revenge on my stepdad and he was banned from seeing me. He never adopted me because my bio dad refused. My mom and I moved in with my grandparents. I was told to never contact my stepdad again. I wasn't even allowed to say hi when he dropped off my brothers for visits. I was to accept no gifts or money from him or to speak with him. I did however manage to stay in touch via social media, and I hid this from my mom because she wouldn't allow us to have contact. She wanted to punish my stepdad by banning him from seeing his daughter. When I graduated from high school I wanted to go to med school and study to become a surgeon. I got accepted to a prestigious school, but I didn't get a scholarship so my mom couldn't afford to pay. I asked my stepdad if he could pay for me and he agreed. I knew my mom wouldn't approve. She would rather I didn't go to med school than ask my stepdad, so I lied and said I got a scholarship which paid for everything: fees, housing, transport, food, etc. I went to med school. I never told my mom who was paying. My stepdad and I were even able to see each other since was in a different city. She recently found out after 5 years it was my stepdad paying and she went mental saying I went against her wishes. I disrespected her. I chose a man who I wasn't biologically related to me over family. She kicked me out of the house and most of my family is calling me and sending me texts calling me an a-hole. So, am I the unreasonable one? My 27 years old female husband, 29 years old male, won't stop pulling stupid pranks on me and I'm almost at my limit. It all started on April 1st when we had some friends over and we were all playing jokes on each other and laughing, all in good fun. I honestly thought it would stop there. Days after, he was still doing it, stuff like toothpaste and Oreos, Nutella all over the bathroom floor, hiding a whoopee cushion in strategic places, typical prank stuff. I thought most of it was kind of funny and we both had a laugh over it. However, it just kept going weeks and weeks after. Almost every day, there was a prank. I started getting tired of it and nicely asked him to stop. He agreed to stop, but a couple days after the discussion, he started doing the stupid pranks again. At one point these past couple weeks, I got extremely ticked off at how long this has been going on despite me asking him to stop several times and told him as calmly as I could that he needed to stop this immediately before I lost my mind. He just giggled as though it were funny and winked as he agreed to stop. Again, he has not stopped. It especially frustrates me that some of his pranks involve wasting food, which he knows I hate doing. He has done things like switching similar looking spices to different jars with different labels, which at one point ruined our dinner. I can't eat or use anything in the kitchen without checking if it's been tampered with. Keep in mind that we've been married for 5 years and this is the first time anything like this has happened. Usually when we have discussions about things that bother us, we both try to work on stopping said thing. TLDR, my husband won't stop pranking me no matter how many times I tell him to stop. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.